Welcome back to PPCM's Painful Truth. Today's guest, Amber Davis.
Hi, Amber.
Hey.
How are you today?
Good.
Thank you for educating all of us on your PPCM peripartum cardiomyopathy experience. The good thing is I don't really know too much about your story. Why don't you start off by just telling me if you learned about this during pregnancy or when your life was already at a threat?
Well, I knew something was off when I was pregnant. I was supposed to be referred to a cardiologist. I was like 6 or 7 months pregnant and no one ever referred me. So I because I didn't know anything, I just kind of said, forget it. And just went on, I was still working full time at the time. And one thing that I knew was off was because my feet were so swollen that I couldn't wear shoes at work. And I would actually wear shoes to work and then take them off and put slippers on because my feet were so swollen, I couldn't even get them back into like slip-on shoes. So even my doctor, my OBGYN didn't know what had happened until I went for my 6-week checkup.
So it was after you were diagnosed after pregnancy.
Yes.
Not during pregnancy, but
my son was 3 weeks old.
And it was happening and induced during pregnancy, but you were not diagnosed until after pregnancy. And it was like you said, literally 6 weeks after that it started to peak.
3 weeks after. My son was born in December. So the symptoms that I had were kind of like flu-like symptoms, or what I thought were flu-like symptoms. So because I live in Virginia, so our weather is so iffy, and I figured that I was just getting sick because everybody in my family was sick as well. And because he was 3 weeks old, it was right at Christmas, and I had went to urgent care a couple of days before Christmas. And
what year was this?
2014.
Okay.
And they had told me, well, the doctor that I saw told me, she asked me why I was so out of breath. And I was like, I don't know. That's why I'm here. She sent me home on a muscle relaxer and prednisone, but it got worse. And I could barely walk because my legs were so swollen. Right. They were swollen like they were when I was pregnant. So 2 days after Christmas, I had texted my mom because I just could not like walk between our bedroom to the kitchen, and I couldn't even talk really because without getting out of breath. So I texted her and she told me to bring him to her and go to the ER. And then that's when they like admitted me immediately because they thought I had an embolism.
So what was the test that determined you to be PPCM?
Well, that they did a chest x-ray first, and they didn't tell me what was wrong. They just said that they would call the cardiologist in. But I know they did.
Did they know your EF percent?
Yeah, it was 17.
Wow. Did they do the BNP?
Yeah.
What was that number?
It was in the thousands.
Right. And anything over 300 is like not good. So you have to either get the Lasix. Did they treat you with Lasix and magnesium?
Yeah.
And then beta blockers?
Okay. Yeah.
So this was approximately 11 years ago?
No, it was
7 years ago.
Yeah.
7 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so and what state are you in?
In Virginia.
You're in Virginia.
Uh-huh.
And did you have an obstetrician? Did you have a midwife or a doula? Who was your birth keeper?
I had an obstetrician.
And did you go back to this obstetrician and let them know that you were in fact peripartum cardiomyopathy, PPCM?
Yes. So I went for my 6-week checkup. I actually had to bring him with me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I told them, and they had never heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
But my doctor actually was not the doctor that delivered him. She was not the doctor that came. I had actually been to the hospital twice before he was born, and each time she never came.
Wow.
So after that 6-week checkup, I switched doctors. But she was actually pregnant at the time too. So I'm pretty sure that's why she didn't come to the hospital or anything.
Well, interesting that she kind of just, as an obstetrician, chose this profession and also chose to blow you off, which could have been severely it was a life threat to you and to your baby. So, shame on her. Who is she in Virginia as well? At what hospital?
Well, she ended up moving like a month after. Like a month after I switched doctors, she ended up moving to somewhere in South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she doesn't even practice around here anymore.
What was her name?
Dr. Haig. I think that was it.
H-A-G?
Haigh. Yeah, I think that was how you spell it.
Interesting. Well, I feel like, I don't know, if she was informed and she's still, I guess, delivering or caring for women, I don't know, shoot her an email, maybe just be like, hey, I'm following up. Are you incorporating the BNP, knowing that, you can't really say that it's rare because it's just not diagnosed, period, as well as probably misdiagnosed. So unless there's diagnosis, there's really no way of actually talking about, things that are common or not common. It just needs to be applied now that there's an educational awareness.
Yeah.
It's a shame that, your EF percent was all the way down to 17. What's your EF percent today?
I think it's about 42.
So you're still not recovered.
Yeah. My cardiologist told me that because it's been so long and it's taken years to even get to that point, that it probably, because my heart muscle was so severely damaged, that it's probably not going to get any higher.
Yeah, but that's what they said about me too. I mean, I had my times of death called. My EF was 0. I was pronounced dead over 30 minutes each cardiac death. So, unless I just even had another interview today about this, that, unless we are at home putting in the time for our heart and working that muscle, like as if you would want to work, your inner thighs, your stomach, your outer thighs, your butt, like you would work that muscle. And in order for you to work that muscle, that's something that nobody can do for anybody else except for what somebody can do for themselves. And if that muscle is, strengthened, I don't believe that, because I am living proof. I got in that water. I did my water aerobics. I had my foam weights with me all the time. I did not let go of those foam weights because I knew that, I was, in bad shape. I had a defibrillator that needed to be removed. I was actually dying again, but I still did not baby myself. I went into that pool and I'd walk and make sure there's lifeguards around me or other people. It was less impact on my back, on my heart, my legs. But the point is to get that blood pumping and to work that heart muscle. And so if that heart muscle is not being worked, then it's not gonna. So for them to say that, that's really makes me feel like they've dropped the ball again. It makes me feel like it's up to, once again, self-advocacy, because that's what this whole disease is about, and surviving is being the fighting strong warrior we are, is by self-advocating. And self-advocating is knowing what, cardiac rehab needs to happen for your heart. And if they're not providing that, then you need to provide it for yourself. And I think cardiac rehab should really be in the water, because it's like less impact on our breathing, especially with foam weights. It can start walking across the pool, in the shallow end, to like lifting your legs up and moving your arms and going back and forth, because that, I feel, can strengthen the heart. It's a muscle. So if it's not being worked on and provided that time, then yeah, if you feels like you're tired or your heart's feeling like it's beating low or something like that, just do like deep stretching and breathe through that stretch. Like find where that pull is, whether it's in your back and you're doing kind of like a, you're doing like, the cat, like find that stretch and like breathe really into it to where you get that deep, satisfying breath. That's going to strengthen your heart. That's going to raise your EF percent. But you got to give yourself 20 minutes a day, at least. I mean, it should be a routine for cardiac rehab at home. There should be some sort of follow-up with that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm surprised that there isn't. And I'm surprised this is not talked about, because I hate hearing women feeling defeated by saying they're told that they're not able to recover because it's been so long. Okay, well, maybe that is the case, but maybe it's like with testing, it's like, okay, well, if you don't find something wrong with this test, maybe you should test this. If nothing's raising it, not the beta blockers, not the other things that, we are relying on for our heart, what are you not doing that maybe you can do? And I think a big part of that is absolutely 100% something that we have to do for ourselves. Like it's not like anybody can do for us. We have to make that 20 minutes that, you as heart, I'm not a doctor, but I'm a survivor. And I do know that when you have had a weakened heart, like myself, I don't baby myself, but I also don't push past of what I know. I know that I can't run more than 20 minutes. Now, my body might tell me I can, because I got stronger, but I'm not going to do that, because I did my 20-minute run, or, I'm going to do now my, 20-minute stretching and breathe into the stretch. So it's like, I want to be able to help my muscle, but I also don't want to baby myself, but I also don't want to push it. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like you have to find within your own happy medium. But if there is like, if your EF has not raised at all, but you also have not tried giving yourself 20 minutes a day to strengthen that heart muscle, I'd really love to have another continued conversation, even if it's in like 6 months, 3 months, to see, even if you give yourself, Monday, Wednesday, however you can give yourself 20 minutes for just a few times a week on, and then get your EF percent done. And even if it raises like to a 47, or 48. That little bit makes such a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I know this because I am experienced with feeling it. I know what it feels like. So at this point, it's almost as if like provide your own cardiac rehab at home. And I'm actually starting Mom Day every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific time because I have been a dancer instructor for over 30 years. I do know what to do. I lost 68 pounds. I kept it off. I was able to keep it off with having the consistency of giving myself 20 minutes a day or 30 minutes a day. So I felt like, how should I not share this with others when I have so much knowledge with this workout? Because I was so healthy and I know that it works. So I started it. I'm starting it April 11th. I pushed it. But if you want to just even partial, just through the deep stretching, or, you know, I do use a ball and a bar because I like to lift the butt and work the inner thighs. But, you know, everybody, like, I won't see everybody. Everybody will just see me. It will be a live, you know, Zoom stream, but you know, you'll hear my playlist, you'll hear me, you'll see, and you can do it. But I really take the stretching slow so you can actually feel the breaths and the breathing and that satisfying breath that when you are stretching, you're going to yawn through a stretch. You're going to yawn because your body is going to feel like it's opening, like as your body's like waking up. So whenever I'm like in like a deep stretch and all of a sudden I yawn, I'm like, yes, because that's when I know my heart just got a little stronger, you know? And now today I'm an EF percent 71, but I was at a 10%.
Yeah.
So it's all about strengthening that muscle. And our heart is one big muscle, and the muscle the heart also has memory. So with relapse, you know, that's when it happens because, you know, and you want to prepare to not have a relapse.
Yeah.
And it comes down to, you know, you don't want to baby yourself, but you also don't want to push it. That's why 20 minutes a day is really all you need to put in that time and focus on that muscle. Like when I work out and I do my routine, I focus. When I focus on the inner thigh, I focus on that muscle. When I focus on the outer thigh, I focus on that muscle. Each muscle it can be molded like clay, you know.
Yeah.
And you can mold your body any way you want. You can mold your body into a dancer's body, into a fitness body, into a runner's body. I prefer a dancer's body because I love, you know, being a dancer. But more importantly, I want to be heart healthy. And so knowing the breathing techniques through the stretch and getting that heart pumping as well as your body moving, it's key. 20 minutes a day consistently, you can keep off weight, get your heart stronger, and it's only 20 minutes a day. You know, I mean, I binge watch shows, you know, and I take my moments, but you know, I literally, I'm, you know, you got to just make that time. And then we'll talk about if you are not fully recovered or if, you know, this method has helped or not helped. And I can pretty much, I can like make a bet, or I can fully say with just confidence that you can raise your EF percent. You just haven't put in that time yet. So then we'll talk when you do that. And I'd love to have another conversation about this. when you feel the difference, like, check yourself, say, how do I feel now? And then do it for like about, 28 days, because it says 28 days to make or break a habit. So give yourself 20 minutes a day, make or break a habit, and 20 minutes a day for 28 days, and then check yourself then. Like, write in your journal, like, say, this is the day this is how I feel like before I started the day. Today is my day 1 for 20 minutes a day for 28 days. And this is how I feel 28 days later. And then, check yourself. Just like, okay, do I sleep better? Am I rested? Do I, walk upstairs better? When I, do I feel more tired? Do I feel like I have more energy? Like, just because it's about your heart giving that, that frequency.
Yeah.
That energy that you might be like, wow, I wish I had. Instead of wishing it, you can provide that for yourself. You don't need to pay a doctor. You don't need to go to a doctor. You just need to be your own doctor for 20 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how's your PPCM baby today? He's 7, right?
Yeah, he'll be 8 in December.
Wow.
And he's good.
Good.
Yeah.
Blessings to our PPCM babies,
Yeah.
And I mean, what else happened that you can think that just completely changed your world, where you've had to, like, I don't know, come out of this horrible catastrophe incident?
Well, I did have a defibrillator put in. So I've had that since April of 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And then my lead broke in 2018. I think it was 2018. I had to have that replaced.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a freak thing that my electrophysiologist said that it was something to do with my anatomy, and where the lead had actually been wrapped around my heart for all these years, and it just so happened to snap in half.
Wow.
And
that was my biggest fear when it was in it being in there and the battery being dead and not knowing. So I had mine removed in 2018. So they replaced your lead. How do you have scar tissue?
Yeah, so they had to, he ended up taking the lead out instead of capping it off. And then he rerouted it somewhere else because of how it just got tangled up around my heart. And of course he didn't put it in like that. So he doesn't know how it happened. And the other lead is actually reading at a higher threshold. So every time I get it checked, they check it and they're kind of watching it to see. So I don't know if I had bad leads put in or what.
Yeah. Mine was bad. Mine was really bad. Mine was so bad. I always say, if you have ever had a belly button ring and you tried it and your body rejected it like mine did.
Mine did.
That's a sign that you should not have a defibrillator or pacemaker.
Yeah.
I was highly allergic to it. And I was pushing it out. My body was pushing it out. And when I had the belly button ring as well. So there was something with the titanium and the nickel and all of that, and it was wrapped around my heart improperly. When they pulled it out, they said that my heart was like shrunken, blue black, and when they pulled it out, it pumped red again. Like, it was like the lead was very, very long. So, you know, this is scary because it's like we are depending on our doctors, you know, to, you know, save us, but at the same time, you know, not kill us slowly with something else. And so there needs to be more awareness on patch testing as well as scar tissue prevention and seeing if the person is compatible. The fact that your lead broke and it was not done, it didn't happen the way he did it, leads me to believe of what happened basically in a, not in the same sense that what the defibrillator happened to me, but complications do happen when your body is rejecting a foreign device that is not compatible with your body. So I believe your body was doing what my body was doing. It was just trying to literally push it out. It was like popping out when it was like the point, and the doctor's like, you know, this is not how I did it. It was, my body was literally trying to push it out of itself because it knew it just wasn't compatible.
Right.
The fact that your lead was like that and he didn't put it in like that leads me to believe that your body, what was doing, it was trying to like do what the belly button ring did to you, you know, which was basically like, get it out.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm really like frustrated with women who, you know, like myself and like you, that are put in these positions and situations when it's preventable during pregnancy with the awareness, you know, which is why I say shame on your doctor, shame on this person, shame on that person, because, you know, we have been poked and pried and, you know, I didn't have any health issues prior to being pregnant. Did you? You were
yeah, I did, but not with my heart. I had a murmur all my life. My mom was an echo tech, so she had found it like back when I was little. But when I had my lead replaced, they found that I had a PFO, and they never knew it. They couldn't see it on a regular echo.
Wow.
Until I had my lead replaced.
Wow.
So
interesting. Yeah. Well, when you're born with a murmur, my mom was born with a murmur. She was born with a heart murmur, but that's something totally different than PPCM.
Yeah, that's like the only thing that I'd ever had wrong with my heart. I probably had the hole in my heart. I mean, because you have it when you're born, and if it doesn't close, then, you know, it just stays like that. But I mean, that was it. But I've had migraines my whole life, but, you know, nothing to do with my heart.
Yeah.
So,
you know, it's like I said, it's my mom with the heart murmur. She was born with it. She had 2 pregnancies that were completely fine. You know, I mean, I could see it from, you know, our baby photos, you know, so a heart murmur and PPCM are, you know, are different. It's different because PPCM is more or less, you know, infection and fluid that's crushing the heart. The heart is affected by not being treated.
Yeah.
So it's not, PPCM is not really a heart problem. It becomes the problem when it's affected by the fluid that is infecting the heart. A murmur's different. So no, you were fine prior. Yeah. You were fine prior to pregnancy, like where you were functioning fine. You were not like dying.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, I wholeheartedly trust my cardiologist. When my lead broke and I didn't know that it had broke, I called my mom like 3 times because it kept beeping. And after like the 3rd time, she said for me to get to the hospital. So the cardiologist that was on call is somebody that is in with my cardiologist. And this one is very young and he's very arrogant. So he basically told me that they would do an echo, and depending on what my echo said, then he suggested me to have my defibrillator removed, because his saying was that if I never needed it, then I should not even have it because I was young, and that the chances are walking out in front of a car or in the street and getting hit by a car is basically the same chances I would have for it to go off. So my
That's funny.
electrophysiologist,
I had an electrophysiologist that told me that I needed it because a person with no legs in a wheelchair had more chance to roll out of the grocery store than me walk out, which is why I needed the defibrillator, because my handicap was in my heart.
Yeah, my electrophysiologist, he laughed and he was like, well, just ignore him, because if it's
right.
He said that he stood more chance in something happening if he removed it because of the scar tissue than to keep it in. And he was like, I'm not taking it out. And so ever since then,
he didn't want to take it out because you became a liability.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want it to be taken out.
Nobody would take my defibrillator out when I was dying with it in. I went to 7 electrophysiologists and 4 other cardiologists until I finally, on my last 911 death email saying 911, I'm dying, turned out to be Dr. Carol Watson. Thank goodness that I was referred to by somebody pretty high up in the chain of the hospital. So she took me right away. I messaged on February 12th. I remember it was February 12th at like 11:11, because there's always like 11:11 around me, or 1:11. And I look back, and this was back in 2018. And on February 14th, it was getting removed. So 2018. So it was like, realizing that, and having my doctor say that basically it should have been taken out immediately because I was in fact highly allergic to the components.
Right.
And it was shoved inside my heart, and that I was just a liability. They didn't want. Now, the doctor who took me out said to me, if you die, you need to sign this, because you might die, or I might have to full blown give you open heart surgery and crack your sternum, and it could get bad. So I need you to sign this. I'll do it. I'll take it out. But the reason why nobody else would take it out is because you're a liability and nobody wants to be responsible for your death. I'll do it, but I don't want to be responsible for your death. So you have to sign right here. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. I'm going to need some major drugs before I sign this.
Yeah. I had to sign the same paper when I had my lead replaced, because they had to have somebody on standby in case they nicked my heart.
Right. One tug, one pull, one wrong move, we're done.
Yeah.
And that is a scary, scary moment to be in. I have to say, I've been in terrifying moments my whole life, and I worked for James Woods and Spike Lee on a TV show Shark, and I was terrified sometimes to like say the wrong thing or get the wrong location or not have the perfect location. And I remember that similar feeling of like, it was 100 times worse than that. So it was like, nothing compared to the feeling of knowing that you're signing your life away.
Yeah.
To somebody that's like, you got an 80% chance of making it, is what he said to me. You have an 80% chance of making it, not survival, making it. Like not like 80% chance of death.
Yeah.
So I was terrified, and I feel like every woman that went through this, like you and I, and have been completely blown off during our pregnancy, to the point where we even to today, having to self-advocate, two heart sisters talking about, cardiac rehab.
Yeah.
That's not provided.
Yeah.
That can really help and really work. It's like you give every method under the sun, but what really should be applied. It's like, okay, you have every method to fix the problem, but you won't make the BNP test, a simple blood test, the actual that, like, why? Like, it's all very conspiracy of defeating women, of women's heart health during pregnancy. It's just very sad.
Yeah.
Which is why we are talking about this.
Yeah.
And no, I thank you for being part of this podcast. The docuseries is all in person. My last one was Dr. Carol Watson. I don't know if you saw it. It was with, my husband who videoed, and she was nice enough to allow me to video the appointment, and she spoke. So, any recognition that you can give on that with a cardiologist that is really actually hands-on, speaking with labor and delivery, women that are, needing support. She's there. She's a rare breed, when it comes to supporting women's heart health regarding pregnancy, because it is a niche. She is the director of the Women's Heart Association Program Fund for the Barbara Streisand program, but she also is the head of Women's Heart Health, which is a very, very large, high death, high saving and death statistics. PPCM is its own niche. It's its own, because now it's like you're not just taking all women as a whole, you're breaking women into a category, which is its own disease. And, a lot of people don't have time for that. There's a lot going on with research, which is women's heart in general, let alone not thinking about, women with pregnancy. But the reality is that the United States of America does have the highest death rate compared to most countries, because we are the only country that does not have diagnosis during pregnancy with the SFLT1, the PIGF of the placental growth factor, or the NT-proBNP test not applied in OB. It's only applied in cardiology. So women that are young don't go to a cardiologist when they're pregnant.
Yeah.
So the same thing will continue and happen. So this doctor, Dr. Carol Watson, she's a cardiologist. She said that I played a huge part in this collaboration between cardiology and labor and delivery, OB, and she allowed me to film the appointment. So, feel free to, watch it on YouTube. If you go to PPCM Fund, I'm plugging it right now. Make a comment. Maybe share it on a group site and say, recognition to this amazing cardiologist that is really stepping up to the plate, like stepping up, which I'm surprised a lot of doctors are not like her. They always say that, a good doctor is a doctor who cares, not what degree you have, not, how many, lives you saved or how big your bank account is or what hospital you work at. A good doctor is a doctor who actually truly cares about humanity, about health, and about applying medicine in practice, not just taking the information and not applying it. She's actually applying, ways to incorporate into the curriculum of educating others that really need this information, that are in the authority to care for women and babies, pregnancy. So I think it's very important that we definitely show, as PPCM survivors, all that we can of our gratitude towards, any medical professional that says this is not okay. This is what we are fighting against, and this is what we need to do. We need to talk about it. So watch it and let me know. Let me know what you think, and I'll comment back.
All right.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time today and sharing.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Your PPCM story, and and I really love to do a be continued ... with you trying 20 minutes for 28 days.
Okay.
And like take your blood pressure, just document. I'm big on documenting. Why I have a docuseries, I have no. I am always documenting, so I'm not surprised that I don't have a docuseries, because I think documentation is so important. I mean, it's like we don't remember things, half the things. When we take photos, we go back on the memories, Oh,
yeah.
And we're like, oh, yeah, I remember that. That was like 10 years ago. So it's like you got to document, just like taking a photo.
Yeah.
So document 28 days for 20 minutes a day. If that's possible.
Yep.
Nice. Sorry.
I know, you're fine.
I have heart failure. I did an interview yesterday that I'll post. Really professional, by the way. And for some reason, the moment I opened my mouth, I sounded like I had a frog in my throat. And I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, out of all the times. And then I did it again. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I said heart failure, not COVID, because I was just so embarrassed that it is. It's heart failure. I'm constantly going or coughing, or I say to my husband, if I can make it through the entire interview without feeling like I'm going to choke on my, on my words.
Yeah.
Thumbs up. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And we'll reconnect. Tell me when you've done whenever you start, tell me when you do your 20-minute, 28-day routine.
Okay.
That works. Your own cardiac rehab.
Okay.
And then make another interview.
Okay. I'll do that.
Okay. Cool. Awesome, Amber. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Right.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us and listening to the PPCM Fund podcast. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. PPCM's Painful Truth is made possible through the generous support of donors like you. Help us spread the awareness by donating at ppcmfund.com or click the link below to become a member through Ko-fi. Have a great day.